Listen, everything happens for a reason. There's a moment and a time and place for it all. Your timing is not his timing.
Right in the middle of the ghetto on the curb with a spike. All of the bookish, we on our back staring at the stars above. Talking about.
We are back in the SpeakUp podcast studio. We have another very special guest in the building. I'm very excited about this. I'm learning things that I didn't even know that we were going to talk about already. So I know it's going to be amazing. It's going to add a lot of value to you guys and to my life as well. I'm learning things as well. So I love it. And by the way, my name is Jesse Houston. You can find me on Instagram at Just2Right. On Twitter, Just2Right. Let's get into it. Who we got in the building today?
Hi, it's me, Angelique, also known as Angie.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, about some things that you're involved in right now. Just give me your perspective. What's going on?
Well, I do want to get a shout out. I just got inducted to Black Women Medicine last night.
Okay. Well, I got a bomb.
So that was the special thing that happened dear to my heart since I've been here.
Wait, what is that?
It's just a group of Black women in medicine.
Okay.
From doctors or future doctors, future PAs, physical therapists, everything medicine, Black women. So it was beautiful just to see a lot of, I feel like in the industry alone, healthcare and minorities doesn't click, if that makes sense. So it's having more of that percentage in healthcare. I don't think it's just as important as voting for the right president.
I know, so what's your ethnicity, your background?
I am Haitian.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to get into. As you know, when you grow up, Haitian parents always say, be a lawyer, doctor, things like that. But you really don't see that many of them. I don't know. Because
I feel like they push it so much, they're pushing you away from it.
All right. So where are you from?
I am from Tampa, Florida, 813 all day, baby.
Okay. I don't hear too many people from Tampa rap it hard, so that's good to hear.
Of course.
813 in the building, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, nice. And you have both parents in the house?
Yes, I do.
Both parents in the house, a great support system?
Yes, very good. I mean, they're probably going to watch this or listen to this, so...
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Shout out to the parents. We love you. You raised an amazing daughter, so shout out to y'all.
I have been a student athlete my whole academic career, and it took an ending course this year somewhat this year to a career-ending injury.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always played sports since I was middle school, high school, college.
Jeez.
It directly.
So that's a huge part of your life.
It is. It actually, it made me the woman I am today, truthfully.
What got you into it?
I was always I was not always the sporty type, I would say. I was more, the girly type. I was more the sporty type. I was raised around two sisters, and I didn't know how to be female-oriented and womanly directed just because I wanted to always stand out. And I always felt that joining a sport would allow me to express myself differently. So,
expressing yourself through the sports. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like it. So what made you continue to do sports, though? What gave you the drive?
I was good at it.
You started winning.
Yeah. Well, initially, my dad originally threw me in cheerleading. And, of course, I'm going to say that's not a sport. But I love athletically performing in front of a crowd. So I love that. I love just performing. So that got me, and just be athletically doing it. I drawn to it. So then from there, when I got into middle school, I joined the basketball team. So I started playing basketball my first year. It wasn't bad, but I ended up, growing from JV to starter after the first year.
Oh no.
And I didn't grow. My height didn't grow after that.
Your skills grew, but your height was
My skills grew, but my height didn't. So going into high school, or leading into that, I took an off season with basketball and joined the track team for conditioning for basketball. I end up becoming one of the fastest on the team and like placing at the big meets. So everyone was like, what do you do? What do you do? I'm like, I'm a basketball player. I'm just here to condition. I'm not, you know.
Don't get used to this.
Yeah. I'm like, I won't be back. So I guess after that, everyone was like, drop basketball for one season and give it, like, just do track.
Yeah.
Just one season. Like, we'll let you go back to basketball. Just give us one season of track. And I'm like, you're talking to the most lazy, hardworking person ever in the world.
Wait, what? Lazy, hard work? Wait, I don't think those two things go together.
I'm going to work hard, but I'm not going to overachieve, but I'm going to do just enough, and I might do a little bit more just to make it better, if that makes sense.
I kind of get it. Okay. I see what you're
So I guess from there, I was stuck with track, and I just started winning from everything the first year. But I guess I met my competition, I would say, and I faced reality after that. And I guess I started, I joined a AU team, and I mean, everyone on the team was ranked in the nation. So it was like, I need to catch up, and I caught up fast in a year, and then my career in track just blew up after that.
So that was a moment where it was like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
I mean, I'm not going to lie if I didn't say every time I got the line and I'm like looking at the track and I'm like, why do I do this? Of course, I have those conversations myself. But, I mean, it was all worth it at the end.
What did you run?
I ran the 400 meters.
Oh, my God. You were a quarter horse? What?
Yes.
You're crazy. That takes a different type of person.
Yeah, I don't even know how I got there because I went from field events to 100, 200, and after, I guess, one meet, everyone's like, this is your race. And I was like, no, it's not. I was in here to fill a spot. And then, I guess everything just falls into place.
Yeah, everything happens in God's timing, God's plan.
Yeah.
I used to run 300 hurdles. And I did a 400 one time. That back curve, oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you get more power to you.
That's what they said, the gorilla jump on your back.
Yeah,
that's like
that monkey jumps on your back. Yeah. Nah, it definitely jumped on my back. I did not get back up.
We all had those races. So.
For sure.
I had many of those.
So, like, how good were you in high school? Like, at your peak?
I would say it was a gradual humbling experience. I would say when I first started, my experience when I got into high school, it was like they already had their star athlete. She was their star. Like, it was like when you came to the school, you talked about track, it was her. Like, you knew. So when they heard I was coming out, this little freshman, everyone, it actually became a big thing. It was like, there's this girl, she runs AU, she's coming to track team. It was like, everyone had to go to the practice, the tryouts, just to see, like, the lineup. And, of course, I didn't beat her for, like, the whole season until, like, the end when we had our district championship. And that's when I finally beat her. And I would say through 2 back-to-back titles on the district, won regional, made states. So it was, I can't remember all of them, but it was a journey.
So,
but
like,
it was a fun journey.
What I find interesting is, like, it's a lot of people with talent, but it's not a lot of people with talent and drive, right? It's like having that drive to want to do something to achieve things is so rare. It's rarer than talent. It's that's how I look at it. Why do you think that you had that drive and that want to? Like, what about you? Or, like, I don't know, your mindset. What do you see it as?
Fun fact, I actually found God through track, through the season, through that season.
Okay.
My faith, prayer is really what kept me. Because I remember joining the first year, and I was able to just, like, drop 6 seconds and literally miss states by, like, 0.2, like 0.1 second.
That's when it hurts the worst.
Yeah, not even a full second, like point something second. And I mean, after that, it was like, I was just so upset. But, like, I felt like, okay, I'm a freshman and I was able to do this. So I got cocky, got big-headed. And it was like, I can do it on my own. I didn't need certain coaches. I didn't need anyone. And literally my time did not drop, it just stayed constant. Just constant. And after that, I guess I tried to come back to the coach. Of course, he, like, took me in, but it wasn't easy. And it got mellowed, but I still wasn't getting better. I was still full of myself. So I guess like at one of the races, it was just, I went to it was an AU meet at this point, and I went to one of the races, and my time it was like the worst race I've ever had, honestly. The time was horrible. The race itself was horrible. I was like, okay, yeah, I blew it. I'm done. I wasted my career like early. But I wanted it because I wanted to be great. And like I saw how it's after my first year in high school. I saw how the girl, the veteran, how much she flourished and how big it made her. Like, I mean, the girl, she left the high school, like, homecoming queen, top athlete. Like, she was successful. She's out and, you know, flourishing still. And I wanted to be that. I wanted to do that. So that's all I wanted, but I just, like, it wasn't going nowhere. So I got frustrated. And I got a lot of beat down from, you know, just around everyone was just telling me you know, I wasn't good and I wasn't worth it. I wasted people time, wasted people money. So I just felt worthless. I just wasn't it. And I just actually got to a point where it was like, okay, this is out of my control. I can't do nothing else. So I started praying and I surrendered. I was like, look, I'm giving my career to you, my athleticism to you. I'm giving me to you. Like whatever happens, like I give up. Like I'm done. Yeah. And, you know, the big talk was, again, I missed like states again by like point something seconds again. So it was like the same recurrence. So after that, yeah, I was like, you know, at this point, it's not even me. Like I prayed everything, gave it all to God. And that season following up, it was like everything was prayer. Everything was faith. So if anything didn't go well, I was like, I still have faith. I'm still going to make it. I'm still going to get through. It was a constant prayer. And I mean, as I started like I had a job too. So I would tithe my money to a certain amount and pray on it to just what I wanted. And it's crazy because that season I wasn't dropping, but I was dropping. The times were starting to get faster and but it didn't look secure. So I just remember that same year I lost the district title. But everyone looked at me like, you know, mind you, I've been winning it every year, but that year I lost it. So everyone looked at me like, oh yeah, you're definitely not going to state this year. Your season's done. But in my head, I'm like, you know what? It's all in God's hand. Like this is, you know, I'm like just holding on to it, whatever. And I guess when regional came, I was still frustrated. I still had that feeling like I wasn't going to make it, but I would still show up to every day, even though I felt like it, but I would speak it. And I was like, I'm going to states, you guys, I'm going to states. And then regional came, and I got on the line, and I'm, like, looking at these girls and looking at these times. I would have to PR the time of my life to make it to states. And I was just like, I don't think this is going to happen. Like, there's no way. But I was like, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'm going to states. I got on the line. And I remember that race like it was yesterday. We went out, and I guess I can say, if you know, the track, we get out. On the back curve, I was like placing. I was like 6. Okay. So I'm like 6. And remember, like top 4 go to state. So I'm like last 6. You know what I mean? So I'm like bottom half. And the last curve came around, and I was just so mad. I'm like, I can't miss another year. And then I don't know what got into me. And before you know it, I walked in the race number 6 and finished the race as number 2 and ended up going to states. Yeah.
Man, that is so amazing. So
that very moment, I knew I was like, yeah, I gotta start giving everything to God because it actually made everything. Yeah, that changed. It was a whole 360 and refreshing in my life. So
that is so powerful.
Yeah,
because like you started off the story saying you were so full of yourself, and then it took you emptying yourself out and filling yourself back up with God. Yeah, to really get you to that next point. Yes. And then you didn't even see like the results that you wanted to see when you wanted to see them. No. But when you needed them, they showed up. Right. Whoa. Wow.
And I feel like that's the power of like changing your life and actually allowing God to take over. It's not about you. You start to learn too. It's never about you. It's bigger than you. And I mean, again, a lot of people followed my journey through this because so many people have helped me. So many people were involved. The journey was, it really, and it wasn't like, I can say I did this alone. I did not. I mean, I had extra practices. I had extra study time, extra coaches. Like, it was a team. It was a village. It was a whole around thing that built that all together to build that moment. I mean, I remember running to my coach. She was hugging me like, "About time!" Like, it was a very big moment. And then I just remember that moment. That's when Tampa was like, "Who is that? Who is that?" And I would say that was my welcoming to the Tampa like athletic community. Yeah.
And you could have gave up. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
You could have gave up because in no way were you set to do those impossible things. But you still kept your head down and kept working. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. That's such an amazing gift in itself that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about running prelims and going into the finals number 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're ranked going from prelims, it's like whatever final you go into, that's what you're going into. So it was like, you know, every coach is talking to the athlete like, all right, just do what you did in prelims. You do that, you're set, you make it, you're good. But other than that, like I saw it, I was just like, and I need to go. All I know was I had to get to state. It's 3 years and you know this talk, you're supposed to be the MVP runner. You're supposed to be the big thing, and you still haven't done the most important thing to claim that. So I was like, I have to go. Like I have to get there. That's all I thought about. But I mean, I would be fooling myself now if I said, yeah, it was me. But I mean, prayer, constant faith, like, you know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing is like when I saw the times, when I saw where I was lined up in the lane and where I was. And it was like I had to have faith. I had nothing else, literally nothing else.
But that's when God does his best work.
No, seriously.
Man, and that's what I'm learning now. Like, when your back's against the wall, that's when God shows up the most.
Mm-hmm. Like, when you're down to nothing, he's up to something. So it's like, you just have to remember that. And I mean, even today, like, getting through, like, everything from then and now, it's like, I always tell myself, when I feel like I'm struggling, I feel like I don't have enough, I have enough, but God is working what I have already. So it's going to happen.
Right.
So
you got to keep having faith.
Yes.
Got to keep having faith. So moving right along. So you do all these amazing things. You get into college. You go to my alma mater, FAU. Go Owls.
Hootie-hoo.
And tell me a little bit about some of the adversities that you faced when you got to college.
Okay. So I would say I didn't straight go into FAU. I started at Limestone College in South Carolina. Okay. So I started there and ran on a track scholarship out there. Different environment. I mean, you're talking to a Florida girl who never left, the state of...
It sounds cold. That's what it sounds like. It sounds cold.
That's exactly what it was. So you're talking about a girl who's never left son, you know what I mean? And she goes and never left her son and her family, like the state alone. So now you're talking about a little girl who's just optimistic, who's just bright, and who's just open to anything, and just moved to a whole nother state just to fulfill all her dreams. And she thought this was the way. So she goes to South Carolina and joined Limestone College. And I mean, I loved it there. It was everything to me. I just couldn't. What caused me to leave was I couldn't maintain the weather.
Being cold is a big deal.
So, I mean, we would train outside at like 38 degrees. So, I'm sitting on the track like, Coach, I can't move. Like, I'm not going to, and I can't move. And he just looked at me crazy, and I'm like, you recruited a Florida girl who's never been in weather like this, so this is your fault. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, I couldn't maintain the weather, and I felt like a small country town. I wanted to grow more, because when I was there, it was, I did the track team, I tried out for the dance team, made that, I competed at their pageant over there as well, won first runner-up of their pageant.
You do it all, huh?
So it was like, and then SJ was welcoming me in, and it was just like, it was so much. I was like, I want to grow. Like, I don't want to be greedy, but I knew there was more to be done, and I couldn't do what I wanted to do here. And I felt like what I did was enough. Like, I know when I leave, my mark is going to be left here, and that's that, but I need to move on to leave my mark somewhere else and do more. I need to grow. I just felt like it's like you're putting a dog to grow in a little cage, and then they're like getting stuck. And
when did you realize that you needed to grow? Like, for people out there who are in a situation where they are kind of stagnant or feel like enough is they're doing enough? Like, how did you know that that wasn't enough? That's what I'm trying to say.
I was way too comfortable. Way too comfortable. I was okay with being okay. I stopped pushing myself. I started minimizing the exceeding things and start like exercising the minimal. So it was like, okay, this is not normal. I'm the girl who challenged herself at everything. When good wasn't good enough, you know, I had to be great. But even when I was great, I was still better than great. So at that moment, I was like, okay, this is not okay for me. Like, I knew like where I'm at and where I see myself. And it's not to belittle the city, the school itself. Of course not. Because they made me more than what I was and gave me more. It was more of the fact that I knew what I wanted. You know, I came in with, every time I do something, I come in with 3 goals. I set 3 goals, and those 3 goals were already accomplished. Wow. So it was like, okay, so what's next? My first year, I already accomplished 3 of the goals. So it was like, I have to move like somewhere that's going to give me new goals and exceed those goals. So I just felt like, yeah, I was like the end stop. Like,
you couldn't learn anything more.
Right. I learned all that I could, and I received as much as I could. But after that, it was like, okay, now what's next?
Right. So what was next?
I transferred to Florida Atlantic University.
Hoot. All right, now we back. FAU, we here. Yes, we back.
That one was a journey itself because...
So tell me a little bit about like the struggles that you went through at FAU. Could you go into that a little bit in like...
I last year, around 2018, I was rear-ended, and it caused an injury in my hip where my right hip labrum was torn. And of course, I didn't realize at the time, just did rehab and thought it was good until one day I practiced. I was running, and then in the midst of running, my hip locked up and I was on the ground, and that was it. I was like, practices could never be finished after that because my hip never allowed me. And it was the same thing. Lock up, fall. And that's when we found out MRIs, it's torn. And from there, it was like, what was the point of being on the track team anymore? Because you can't run. And this is your last season. And at this point, you have to get surgery. So now I'm forced to get surgery. And that was the end of the track career. Never got to finish.
How long did it take? Like, how long was that whole process? Like, from when you got in a car accident to when you were forced to have the surgery, how long was that?
We really didn't find out until like a year later.
A year later, okay.
No, actually, no. Not even a year later. We got the surgery done a year later, but we found out within maybe like 6 months of the car accident.
That's fast.
Yeah.
That happened.
So everything was going fast. It was like I was supposed to start, cross country season and transition to track. So it was like I had all my season planned out for my senior year, but right before the practices started for me, the accident happened, and it was like, okay, how can we get a fast recovery? And that's what really probably pushed me to like get to this point. But yeah.
So I'm guessing when that happened, like your whole world, like we talked a lot about how this was like a major part of your life at that point. It actually
carried me through, and it made me more social because, again, being an athlete on campus, it was like, okay, you're going to want to talk to them. Like, you want to get to know them. So it allowed me to be, more open and speak to everyone. But, like, I felt like that, like, I was stripped and, like, robbed from, like, part of my life.
Of who you are.
Yeah.
Man. And it happened very, very fast.
Very fast.
So like, tell me about, like, your mindset, like, when you figured out when stuff was hitting the fan, like, what was going through your mind at that time?
So, this was actually more of the toughest time of my life I've ever faced, because it was like, you're talking about a girl who did everything. She always had something to do. I was always busy at like every hour of the days, to like now you wake up, you are in pain in your hip, you can't walk, and now you need to go into surgery. And the surgery was like, I'm in the anesthesia and I'm gone. I wake up and it's like, I can't even feel my leg. It's like they took my leg out, put it back on, and I need to learn how to walk all over again. So it's like now, it's like you can't do anything for yourself. You can't bathe. You can't sleep. You can't, like, people have to come and check on you to make sure you're okay. You're still breathing correctly. You're still alive. You're talking about a surgery that, like, it's to the point you could have lost, you lost everything. You you lose yourself, honestly. And you can't run. Like, I can't run. I can't do anything. Literally, like, my life is gone. Like, who I was gone. So, like, that person, that woman that I was, today I'm not even that woman anymore. Like, I'm a whole new person, because it was like, I saw life for what it really was. It was like, I went to sleep and woke up and regretted many of my actions. I regretted taking a lot of things for granted. And I woke up wishing I did a lot of things differently. So, and it's like, now you wake up, now it's like, okay, how can you push forward? How can you change your life to this next new woman that you want to become, and everything that you learned prior? After, I just remember waking up screaming in pain. And I had a big cast around my hip to, like, my knee, like, at the top of my leg. And it was like, what is this? Like, they didn't tell me I was going to have all this and feel this much pain, because it was just like, we're going to do arthroscopy, you're going to be cut, and you wake up and you go through PT and you're good. No. So it's like, they had to go in and shave some bones, because it was impingement. So basically, my bone didn't have the proper arch of the hip. So they have to go in and shave a quarter, like, the bone off to get the right the angles. They had to go in and sew the tear and wrapped it up, so that way it's good.
So it was major surgery.
Yeah,
it was major surgery.
Right. And
then you wake up and I'm guessing you're in shock. You're like, whoa.
Right. So the pain was like from shock, from fear, from just confusion. You know, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna be cut, fixed, and I'll be able to walk back to myself. I'm still not even like 100% myself today yet.
Yeah.
I'm
still going through it.
Still going.
So when you woke up and kind of the dust settled, I'm guessing you were going through a lot mentally, like trying to figure a lot of things out. Like what was going through your mind? I don't know. What was going through your mind?
It was a lot going through my mind. It was a lot of, like, what ifs. So after that, it was like, I can't walk. I can't do anything. I can't use the restroom alone. I can't shower alone. I couldn't do anything but lay there. Just it was like, I was paralyzed, you know?
So you went from being a star athlete to not being able to move.
Not being able to move, to not do anything.
Man.
Just stuck. You're literally just stuck. I couldn't even lift my leg if you asked me to. But yeah, it was, so you're going through that transition, your mind is like, you're like, who am I? Well, like, you start questioning your worth. You start questioning, like, you start thinking about everything that everyone said about you negatively, and you start to ask yourself, are those true? You know what I mean? Because now you're in a position, you know, you're like, okay, now I'm in a position of everything everyone said about me. So, like, are they true? Or you start questioning yourself, like, okay, I'm like, what am I now? Like, what do I do? Like, how do, like, you know what I mean? So I would say a lot of my mind just went to, you start thinking about, like, now, like, I'm nothing. There's nothing to me now. There's nothing I can do, because it's like, you're talking to someone, all I can do is just eat, sleep, and repeat. To someone who wakes up at 6 in the morning, 6 of the 7 days a week, and on the 7th day, you're still working out. You don't eat a lot. You have a diet. You move around, and you're talking about someone who, when she needs something done, she gets it done.
Right.
Now it's like you're dependent. You're eating in ways that you normally don't eat, because your body lost a lot of nutrients and a lot of blood and just everything through that. So now you have to maintain all that back. And now it's like you're bored. Yeah.
And you have all these questions surrounding the future.
Yeah.
That stress on your brain, that's, oh my God.
And your mind, and mind you, it was my senior year, and now it's like, okay, when do I graduate? What am I gonna do now? Like, what happens next for me? Like, what is my future? So, and again, you're just lost. You're just lost and alone.
Right now, I mean, it hasn't been that much of time has passed, but what did you need to hear at that moment? Like, right now, looking back, what did you need to hear at that moment? That
very moment, I just needed someone to tell me that it's going to be okay. Like, don't worry about it. Keep your faith. You know what I mean? And again, I lost, during the journey, I had lost it. But all I needed to hear was like, listen, everything happens for a reason. There's a moment and a time and place for it all. The surgery was going to happen regardless. We just didn't know when. So again, goes into your timing is not his timing. So understand this timing was set purposely. So whatever is happening right now is working out for your good.
Right.
So it's like for those things unseen or unheard are for the better of tomorrow. So it's like whatever is happening now, you won't understand it, and you can't understand it, and you won't see it until it makes sense later. Honestly, I really didn't hear that much, but I remember just getting really big back and reading the Bible and allowing verse to speak to me, and I started getting portion of it, and I started like listening to pastors' videos, and those were the main ones that were sticking out to me. And I started researching those verses, and I started connecting their testimonies and their stories at the time. I allow it to speak to me, although I physically didn't hear it, but I spiritually heard it, if that makes sense.
No, I hear you. So what was like those building blocks of building yourself back up? Because we did talk about how like this whole, like the person you were was kind of ripped away from you in a way. What was like those building blocks of getting back and gaining who you are today and who you plan to be, I guess? Like what was that transition like?
I had to feed my goals to myself every day because laziness, procrastination was strong. It built up, and it's hard because once you get into that, there's no getting out. Mind you, I couldn't walk, drive, bathe, use a restroom, do anything for myself for about 2.5 months. So 2.5 months, I'm just sitting there, eat, sleep, repeat. But what kept me like focused and kept me going was that I knew graduation was around the corner. Everyone was like, you're going to have to sit out a semester and push your graduation again to like graduate later. But I knew I want to go into PA school. I knew my goal is to one day run for Miss USA. I knew my goals were to open an athletic clothing line. I knew I wanted to build a foundation. I knew I want to speak to kids. I knew I want to do all this stuff after I graduate or build it up for when I graduate. And all I thought about was like, if I stop now or I prolong everything now, it's not going to happen. Because now I'm pushing everything back and everything's going to be further back. And it's like, what will I be doing for me to allow those to stop, to push those back? Nothing. So those time of doing nothing, I'm going to keep going. Although I can't walk as strong, I can't drive myself, but I'm like, I'll find a way. Like I just tell myself, I'm going to find a way. My mom was like, who's going to take care of you? Who's going to watch you at home? I was like, I have a roommate. I mean, she knows the surgery. I have a phone. Like, if anything, I know how to use that. And I understand my body now. I get it. When it says stop, it's tired. I get that. But I can't allow situations and trials to, like, ruin what my futures and my goals were. So I fed it to myself every day. So it's funny. While I was in bed, doing my machines in rehab, my at-home therapy, I was studying the GRE every day. I was just studying GRE vocabulary. I was reading through the books. And sometimes if I get lost, I would feed into social media and just find a laugh in Twitter because, Twitter is it's its own comedy book. Yeah. But I would go into Twitter and just read. I mean, I follow a lot of inspirational Twitter accounts, so I would just read through those to just help me stay focused. And it's funny because throughout my time, I actually received 2 GRE study session books and cards because a girl was like, hey, I actually want to give out. So it was like I was finding those little motivational things. So it was like I told myself I'm not doing anything that doesn't feed my purpose and my goal. So I didn't sit in social media long enough because if I sat, there was days I would sit in social media like on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, would go through all 3 all day. And when I knew that, I shut it all off. Like I took it out my phone and all I had left, because mind you, I can't go nowhere. I can't run. There was nothing there for me. All I had was my notebook, my GRE book, and a pen. So if I'm not studying GRE, I'm writing my goals. I'm writing my layout plans for how I'm going to run these organizations once I graduate. So I fed myself my goals every day as I'm sitting in bed for 2.5 months before I can even get up.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing because at any time you could have just said, nah, I'm gonna give up. It's too much on me.
And I did.
Yeah.
And at a point, I did. I actually did. I was at a point. I did. I said, "There's nothing for me here. There's no point." But when you sit back and you look at how far you've came and how much you went through, you tell yourself, "I didn't come this far just to come this far." You know, you got to tell yourself that, like, it's bigger than you. I mean, I tell myself that all the time. Sometimes, like, it's bigger than you. You know, and I tell myself it's the reason why you had this surgery when you had it. Wow. So somebody who's reading or looking or following your story, and your story is probably what's helping them get through whatever they're going through.
Right.
So, and I was like, if I give up now, everything I went through wouldn't even matter. So it was like I had a reality check. Again, I had to feed these goals to myself. And that's what got me back up. It wasn't easy. All right, I'm up again. But it was a gradual, like, you know, I would cry just reading the book or writing my pen because it was like I just felt like I wasn't going to get there. But you go back to the times where you tell yourself, if God got me through it before, why can't he do it again?
Right.
If I got through it the first time,
that's good.
Why can I not get it through the next time? So it's like one of those things that you got to tell yourself, like, as long as you've been there before, you know what it felt like, you know what it was, you can always get there again. And I feel like that's what a lot of people forget. You see a lot of people, not just athletes, just people in general that makes it through and they hit a hard rock bottom place and they're just like, I'm done.
Right.
They always say I reached my peak and my career's over, so I'm going to retire early. I'm not going to do, no. What it is, it's literally the stepping stone and that break and that shift to, like, build you. So, like, that's what, like, you know, a lot of people think just getting on the top and just getting up is just automatically getting up. In order to go up, you have to be down. So I felt like that
dropping gems, man. Whoa.
So it's just one of those things that you have to tell yourself. And then especially for college students, you know, they're at this point in the semester, it's like you got to tell yourself, okay, I'm getting stressed. I'm here. I can't do this. And you got to look at it. You went through this whole semester. You went through all this just to stop here. Mm-hmm. So what is the point? You wasted you're not only your time, like, shake off the dust. You know, you've fallen deep in the hole, shake off the dust, get up and climb back up there. And the biggest thing that, like, stuck to me was my pastor's story. He probably repeated it so many times that, like, now it's like I'm stealing it, and, like, but it's like a rock. Your life is like a rock. You're pushing it, but that rock doesn't move. So you try again, you're pushing it, and the rock still doesn't move. So you sit there and you move away from the rock and you look at the rock and you're like, okay, it probably moved like a quarter inch. But if you look at yourself in the mirror, you gain muscle, you gain wise. You know what I mean? Right. You're so much stronger than you were before pushing the rock. So now if you go back and push the rock is going to move. Wow. So it's like you have to, like, take in those little things and allow, like, those beatings that it's like, okay, I've taken all of this, but you got to understand it's your strength that you're getting out of it. Right. So when you go back and face it, it's like it was nothing. So those are my, like, biggest jams I want to share. But, like, yeah, that's the biggest thing I would say.
Those are powerful, man. Woo, keep pushing the rock. Hashtag keep pushing the rock.
Keep pushing the rock. Ooh. And then if you get tired, look at yourself in the mirror. Mm-hmm. How much stronger did you get? How much wiser did you get? How much did you grow from it?
Mm-hmm. And then you go didn't back, come this far to come this far.
Right. So go back and push that rock again and watch it move. Mm-hmm. Like they say, move mountains.
Oof, my gosh. Wow. That is so powerful. Yeah. Wow. So moving forward, like, what are some things that you're looking forward to doing, or some new struggles that you're trying to attack?
I would say my 5 new goals. Now if I went to my high school, my college, now these are the life goals that I want to achieve. One is I want to graduate and become a physician assistant. I want to get into sports medicine, just because, of course, I do all physician, but, like, why I want to get into dearly sports medicine, because I've been through it. And it's a different mental break than actual general physician. Mm-hmm. Just because when you're an athlete, you go through this mental thing where I grew with a lot of athletes, and it's like you have to fight through your injuries because it means something for your future. I mean, I knew athletes who had growing pain, like growing issues. And it's like, you cannot play with those. Like, you have to sit down. You have to relax. But they're like, I have to. This is the only way I have to push through this, because now if I don't do this, I won't be able to play. I won't be able to do that. And it's like, that's their future. That's the way their family and they will eat. And then some people who had like hamstring tears, and it's like, that's how my school's paid for. I can't sit out. I have to. This is my life. But it's like, when now you're foot pushing through it, and now you're injured, and now you're sitting there, and now you're like, I'm not gonna make it. I just find it's mental and physical, and I just know how to attack both. And I want to be able to reach out in that community in all aspect that you can get through it all, and get through everything. I just want to help build that community stronger mentally and physically. So that's why I want to really get into that medical field.
One thing I did want to tell, while you were speaking about that and about transitions, I know a lot of the times we tell our kids, it's like, okay, you're going to do this athletic sport, you're going to do this and do that. A lot of the times that doesn't happen. The people's whole lives, almost like your accident, like their whole lives are just snatched away from them. Like, what would you tell somebody in that situation, whether it be somebody, a senior in high school who wants to be a college athlete but doesn't get it? Like, what would you tell that person transitioning into life after sports? Yeah,
that's a really good question. Luckily, I was blessed with my parents to allow me to be versatile. So I wasn't, just stuck in sports. I had my academics, I had my sport, I had my talents. But my biggest thing I was tell any athlete, from amateur to high school to college to pro, find your gift in your sport. And I'm not talking about how great you are as a gifted athlete. I'm talking about, what is your gift? Are you a great speaker? Are you a singer? Are you a dancer? Are you an artist? Find your gift, because our gift, every person on this earth is gifted with a gift for their purpose in life. So I believe being an athlete is just it's a stepping stone to allow you to use your gift for your purpose. And I feel like a lot of athletes, and that's why I feel like a lot of people, when they find athletes who can sing, who can dance, who's artistic, who's a great speaker, the world is shocked. Because you're so used to just seeing athletes in tune in just their sport. You're like, you robotically built athletes to just be athletes.
Put them in this box.
Right. When in reality, it's just like going to school, being a regular student. You can go to school, get your degree, but you find other students pursuing their art career, or they're dancing, they're singing, they're speaking, their politician drive. Like, why can't athletes do the same as well? Right. Why do we just have to be just athletes? So that's why I would tell any athlete in the world is, find your gift and find your purpose within that gift, and make sure you share it with the world any chance you can. Because we all have at least a little off time. So use it then.
Find your gift.
Yeah.
Find your gift.
Share it with the world.
Share it with the world.
Yeah.
I love it. And the last question I love to ask my guests. So if somebody's going through a tough time in their life, they're in a transitional phase, what would be that one piece of advice you would tell them, besides keep pushing the rock? Besides that, because I love that.
I would say, don't be afraid to reach out to someone. During my journey, why I sound like I'm at peace with life, I actually found a counselor that I speak with. At first, I started with like every other week, and now it's like, every other week a month, and then now it's like once a month. And you don't realize how traumatized your life is until you speak about it. We go through the culture that like, you crazy, and you don't need that, and sometimes people just say, just pray and it's okay, like, Caribbeans. But in reality, it's like, sometimes you gotta let it out.
Right.
It's okay to cry, it's okay to scream, it's okay to share your story. I know growing up, I always felt defenseless, and was like, no one likes a sad story, so you don't need to talk about your sad story. Pick up your tears, dust off your shoulders, and keep pushing. You'll get over it. It'll go. You have a new day to come. But sometimes you do that, it's like you have a backpack on you, and every time those weight of those frustrations, those angers, those emotions, you throw it in that backpack. After a while, the backpack get heavy, and you can't even walk no more, because you're being dragged back by that weighted backpack because of everything you put back there. Sometimes at one point, you're going to have to take a pit stop and release that backpack and release all those traumatizing emotions, anger, frustrations, and let it out. I mean, that's why we have make sure you do with someone you trust, of course. But that's why these people are here, and your friends, your family, that's what they're there for. And just because of that, as long as you release those tensions and release those stress and those emotions, like, you'll start to see how better your life goes as you move forward.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And in closing, if you could just give the people a place where they can reach you, Instagram, Twitters, any of that, if you can just share that with the people.
Yes. Let me see my Instagram. My Instagram is, it's actually my name. My Instagram is _Angie Francois, ANGIE FRANCOIS. It's the same as my Twitter, I believe. And my Snapchat is Francois Angie, so it's backward without the underscore. And honestly, I'm like an open book. I tell, you can ask all my friends. I have stories for days, and I'm open to like sharing my story, and I'm just open to like change a life one day at a time. Like that's actually one of my goals and purpose in life. As long as I can impact a soul, like I can die happy. So
well, I know the people who are going to listen to this are going to get so much value from it. Me just sitting over here, like, you just poured so much into me. Like, I'm ready to push that rock.
Push it, man.
Hey, man. But I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
This is an honor.
Hey, man. Hey, thank you for speaking up.
Of course.
In the middle of the ghetto on the curb with a spike. All of the bullshit we on our back staring at the stars above.